Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my October backyard garden tour. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liz, and I garden in California, Zone 9B, which would explain why there's still so many beautiful things growing in my garden, even though we're in fall. Because my vintage bathtub is looking extra special right now, I am going to start here. I have a really wonderful surprise. I planted this tropical milkweed. Not sure how it would do or if it would attract any pollinators, but I'm happy to say that for the past week I've seen a monarch butterfly feeding off of it. It's probably a male because I didn't see it lay any eggs. But it was just such a beautiful blessing to see, especially being that monarch butterflies are becoming extinct. Inside the center of this antique bathtub, I have a beautiful citrus lantana, although it's trying to get some attention in between the marigolds, which are just peaking right now. Aren't they beautiful? Every morning I come out here and I deadhead them. I just pop off the spent blooms and toss them in other areas in my garden. And over here, I have a Proven Winners Supertunia Vista Bubblegum. I did prune it back some, and look at it's coming back again. I am going to get another flush of flowers before winter, and I couldn't be more pleased. And there's a couple more lantana. It's not the same variety as in the center, but it is called lantana. We have a purple one and a lavender one. They're so pretty. I love all the color combinations, the yellows and the oranges and the purples. You know, orange and purple are opposite colors on the color wheel, so I just think that it makes such a nice color contrast. Or is it yellow and purple? Either way, they make a great contrast. And over in this area in my garden, I planted a fennel. Isn't it just so pretty and airy? And since the weather cooled off, it's just thriving now. I got that little strawberry pot at a garage sale for $5. And I've been picking strawberries off it this past month, and I've never tasted anything sweeter. Look, there's another little one. They're so good. Sorry, chickens, I don't share them with you. Those are for me. I can't believe how good my vinka is still doing. I know you probably get sick and tired of me talking about vinka, 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 but honestly, it is the best thing I've grown in my garden this year. I've pruned this all the way back, and look it's coming back. And there's Tommy. Tommy! Hi, Kiki! Over on this side of my garden, my creeping Jenny is looking lush, and my vinka came back from a hard prune. And I did change up the pots a little bit down here. I had marigolds, but they just started looking a little straggly, so I planted these African daisies. I know they'll outgrow these pots, but for now, they look pretty, and when they do get bigger, I'll just put them somewhere else in my garden. And behind those is Angelonia. I don't know too much about Angelonia. If I'm pronouncing it right, this is the first time I've ever grown it. Those might outgrow the pots as well, but they look really pretty now. And I will worry about them outgrowing the pots when it happens. I'm not going to stress over that now. And inside my iron plant stand, I'm growing a beautiful sweet potato vine. Isn't that just so lush and beautiful? And we have some vinca major. And I did prune back my petunias, and I thought I was done, but look they're coming back. All my petunias are coming back. And no, I haven't painted my chair yet. I'm thinking maybe a purple or some type of a lilac, because I know I'll probably always grow vinca and marigolds in this area. I want a color that will contrast nice with the pink and orange and yellow. Check out my canna. It's gotten absolutely massive. I'm not sure I like it back there. I'll probably prune it back a little bit because I did like the yellow flowers in front of the kitchen window. That was always nice to look outside and see those, but it got massive, just kind of too big. But I love my cordyline in this tire, and my pink jasmine is really starting to grow back nicely. So I know come spring that will bloom and it'll make the sweetest smelling pretty little pink flowers. And in this pot I'm growing moss rose, suggested by many of my viewers. It's already done fleshing out, so it looks like it's a little, it could use a little deadheading, but they say not to deadhead the moss rose. But this was definitely a good choice for this pot because it just loves the sun and they love quick draining soil, so this pot was perfect. And over here, my other vintage bathtub, I pruned back, really hard pruned back my vinca, and look, it's looking lush and green and there's so many new buds on it. I couldn't be more pleased. My petunias in here are looking a little iron deficiency, so I just fertilized them yesterday. I'm hoping that will help. I love using that Espoma rose and flower tone fertilizer. I just can't live without that fertilizer. It's the absolute best, in my opinion. It works for my garden and my flowers anyway. What are you doing up there, Tommy? Doesn't he just look so much better? He's acting like a normal cat now, exploring the garden, and I really think it was the hot weather. It was really hard on all the animals. And my Vegiga raised vegetable box. I planted some spinach, but then we had another couple hot days, and spinach doesn't like the heat. And I have some broccolini and Brussels sprouts, and I can see that the caterpillars got to it. I came out yesterday and searched for all those caterpillars, and oh, here's another one. These are from those white butterflies, and oh, there's a whole bunch on there. You can always tell because you see all the holes in the leaves. And I just feed them to the chickens. Because I don't spray any pesticides in my garden, that is going to happen, but that's okay. Over here I have a Sedum Autumn Joy, and I really liked this plant. However, it does flop, but what I've learned that if you prune it early while it's growing, it'll turn out to be bushier. So I definitely learned about this plant this year. I'll grow it again next year, but now I know what to do. So gardening is always a learning experience. And instead of looking at it as a failure, I just consider it to be a lesson. So I will plant it again, and I'll be ready for it to grow bushier and less floppier. Speaking of Sedum Autumn Joy, here's an example of a Sedum Autumn Joy that wasn't pruned, and look at this dreadful flopping. This is so discouraging. But during the day when the sun's out, there's so many pollinators on this plant, I don't have the heart to cut it down. But look at my beautiful Gara. This thing was a beast this year. I did make a video how to grow Gara. Oh my goodness, I thought it was done, and look at it, it just doesn't stop. It's so beautiful and whimsical, and when the wind blows, it's like it's dancing in my garden. This was one of my favorite things I grew this year. And over here I have a Supertunia Vista bubblegum. I really didn't think this was going to do so well. I thought it was over, but look at it. I am getting more flowers, and behind that is a blue salvia. One of my favorite things about this area is the contrast of the yellow flowers with the blue, and then the blue with the pink. I just love all the colors over here. Okay, here's something that's just amazing. My geranium's not blooming, so that's not too amazing. But my verbena is. I really wasn't sure if I would get another round of flowers, but look at my friends, I am. I cut this all the way back to the dirt, just thinking, okay, it's done blooming, let me cut it back because it's in the way now. But then bam, new growth popped out. I wasn't expecting it. And look, new verbena. And check out my sweet potato vine. It's growing in 2 stackable tires, just like where I'm standing now. And you can't even see, but behind it, because this originally was a thriller, filler, and spiller container, sweet potato vine definitely took over. But behind that, I do have some petunias. And there's my thriller, which is a lily turf. I know it doesn't look very thrilling right now, but my sweet potato vine definitely makes up for it. And I took out a little piece to make room for the petunias, and I stuck it in the ground right over here. And look, I have another sweet potato vine. How cool is that? I propagated it and didn't even know I could propagate it. I just said, oh well, let's see what happens when I stick it in the ground. It must have had some little roots on it. Well, good morning, beautiful dahlia. You're liking this colder weather as well. Man, I sure am. That summer heat wave was brutal. It makes me want to move to the mountains. But now that it's cool, I'm just so comfortable and happy. And I know all my animals are happy as well. Look at that beautiful Gara. And when the sun sets behind my house, behind that wall, the sun comes shining through and it looks like it's on fire. And my white Natchez crepe myrtle tree is still blooming. I just can't believe it. This has not stopped blooming all summer long. And I know as we come into fall, it's going to lose all of its leaves, but it still has flowers on it. I think it makes such a pretty canopy to my new water fountain. Look at how tall the morning glories got. They actually reached the top of my trellis. The fountain isn't working at the moment because the sun's not out. As soon as that sun hits the solar panel on top of the wall, it'll be making beautiful water sounds. I love this fountain. And I'm so happy I chose to grow morning glories up this arbor. I'm actually growing morning glories and scarlet runner bean. So you'll see a lot of orange popping through with purple and orange, lavender, purple and orange. I think they look so beautiful together. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm really struggling with those black pots behind the fountain. It's just not sitting right with my heart. I think I'm going to take the plants out and put them in the ground. I just don't like the level of it. I don't like where my eye goes and it sees the black. It's just not sitting right with me. You know, sometimes in the garden we try things and in our minds we think we know what the outcome is going to be, but that's not always the case. So never be scared to try something. Just like painting, you could always try something, and if you don't like it, you just paint over it. Well, I love the pots. I love the plant choices, and I love the way the pots look. I just don't like them behind the fountain. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I think I want similar plants, some ferns that are lower behind the heuchera. So maybe I'll put these pots somewhere else in my garden, or I'll take the plants out and plant them behind the heuchera. Who knows? But when is a garden ever really done, right? I know for me, I'm always trying new things and changing things around, and that's how we learn. But you got to garden for yourself and make your heart happy. I love my lily turf over here. I think this was a very good choice. And I did not plant that vinka over there, nor did I plant the vinka right here. That just grew from seed, but I love the way it looks. Look at all those colors. So beautiful, purples and pinks and yellows and oranges. And behind that is my propagation station and my birdhouses that I pick up at thrift stores. This is where I grow all my succulents and cacti, string of pickles. I absolutely love that. And this succulent is called, I believe, bear paws or bear claws, because it looks like there's little nails like a bear would have. And it makes these pretty little flowers, and the pollinators love these little inconspicuous flowers. Most of these succulents and cacti just came from taking pieces off other plants and putting them in the dirt and propagating them. That's why I call this my succulent propagation station. And look inside here. These are little broccoli plants that just came up. So once they get bigger, I'll probably take out the annuals and make room for the broccoli. And now that the weather is cooling off, my nasturtium is coming back. These just came back from seeds from the spring plants. Hello, Abby. And more nasturtium on this side. And over here is my little patio. My garden is small, so I do all my little seed planting and potting on my patio table. Yes, and this is where the cats eat too. If I put the cat food on the floor, then Abby eats it. That's why I like to put it up high. But this is my little happy place. Where I like to paint and do artwork and just fun stuff. And if you ever hear dogs barking, that's because I live behind a dog kennel. See, the building's right there. So moving to the mountains would get me out of the heat and away from the dogs barking. Who knows, maybe someday, if that's what God has in store for me. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you have a beautiful day in your garden too. Thanks for watching.